Today on Fireside News, a guy gets slapped with a parking ticket for a bus stop that didn't exist the night before. Meanwhile, a man storms into Family Dollar wearing nothing but a surgical mask because obviously that's normal now. And in China, they're putting escalators on mountains because hiking is apparently for peasants. Buckle up, this week's headlines are unhinged. It's Fireside News. Let's dive in. Well, if you ask someone about the dumbest parking ticket they've received, you're bound to hear some stories, but this guy probably has everyone beat. A guy in Montreal is fighting a parking ticket that his daughter got in front of their home on April 1st, and it's so bad it should be an April Fool's Day prank. Early in the morning, the city installed signage for a brand new bus stop in front of the man's house. The sign is actually in his front lawn. And the crew finished up about 7:55 a.m. Then, 10 minutes after the sign was put up, parking enforcement came by and gave his daughter a parking ticket for her car blocking the bus stop. But her car was there overnight, before the bus stop even existed. The man says they were given no advance warning about the bus stop coming, so there's no way they could have known that they wouldn't be able to park there. The city agrees, and they say they never really update property owners about their 10,000 bus stops. But the ticket will not be reversed. They say once a ticket is written, there's nothing they can do about it, which sounds like a bunch of crap to me. The man's contesting this madness, but he's annoyed that he has to spend all of his time and energy on something so friggin' stupid. Middle school is an awkward time, and most people will report that they're not superstars in gym class back then. But only one kid gets the joy of being picked last. Someone asked the internet, what are examples of being picked last in gym class as an adult? And here's some of the highlights. Coming at number one, getting invited out to be the designated driver. It's a good example of getting picked last in gym class. How about this one? Friends wanting a group photo together and then handing you the phone. Or people talking about party plans in front of you but not inviting you. Or everyone going out to lunch at work but not asking you to join. Another person says finding out your friends went out on the town without calling or texting you. Or when your friend who lives out of town comes back for a week and doesn't bother to tell you. Another person says being sat at the randoms table at a wedding. Or being invited to an event on the day of its happening, an event that's clearly been planned for weeks or months. If you're invited on the day, you know you're probably just a replacement or a seat filler, right? And finally, when you're the one who always has to drop behind when the path is too narrow for three. That's a great example of being picked last in gym class as an adult. Hey, it's time for some more news that doesn't suck with a few more good news stories making the rounds. A woman in Maryland won $100,000 from a couple of winning Pick 5 tickets, each worth $50,000. She had an interesting inspiration for her numbers, though. She says she used the last 5 digits of her car's odometer reading, and fittingly, she's going to use her winnings to pay off the car. Also, over a year ago, a lost and sick gray cat was at a veterinary clinic in Indiana. She was taken to a shelter where she was nursed back to health. The cat was adopted, but the new owner returned her because she seemed so depressed at the rejection and started struggling and became withdrawn. Well, last week, a woman named Ariana was looking at the shelter's website, and when she saw the gray cat, she realized, hey, that's her cat November, who went missing over a year ago. Ariana rushed over to the shelter, and it was confirmed Ariana and November are both thrilled to be reunited. And finally, a young boy was celebrating his 8th birthday at a park when a group of strangers asked if they could join in the singing of the happy birthday song, seemingly because there weren't very many people there to sing along. It was an adult and 3 children who are being raised right. So there you have it, some news that doesn't suck. Well, if you're thinking about working at a Family Dollar and you're making a list of perks and drawbacks of the job, I'm guessing this should be on the list. A man in New Hampshire walked into a Family Dollar on Saturday night and just shouted, "Hey!" to the clerk, and then ran out. Well, the problem was the clerk says he was a heavy-set man who was totally naked, although he was wearing a surgical mask. Maybe to protect himself from germs, I don't know. But police are investigating and are asking if anybody recognizes the guy. Thankfully, they did not release photos of the dude, his twigs and berries, you know. If they can find him, though, you're going to charge him with indecent exposure. It doesn't sound like the clerk recognized the guy, so maybe it was a dare. But regardless, it's landing this guy. The top spot is our dumb of the day. There's a certain lawlessness that happens at fast food establishments, which can surely make it a difficult place to work, but that doesn't mean you can take people's necks into your own hands, literally. A 31-year-old woman named Akina Sampson was working at McDonald's in Florida when she saw a teenage girl walk behind the counter to grab some ranch dipping sauce. The girl later said she did it because, well, the entire staff was ignoring her. No one was there to help her, so she just took it into her own hands and grabbed it herself. Akina flipped out and grabbed the girl's arm, and when the girl tried to break free, Akina allegedly grabbed her neck, took her to the ground, and choked her out while she was on the floor. Someone called the cops, and the investigation was pretty cut and dry. The altercation was caught on video, and the victim had visible injuries on her neck and elbow. Akina was charged with child abuse, landing her the top spot as our dum-dum of the day. A lot of malls, hotels, and airports have escalators, so you don't need to bother with the stairs. And now China is taking the same approach when it comes to mountain climbing. Several mountains in China are having escalators added to their sides so people with mobility issues, older folks, and, lazy people like myself can get to the top to see the view without having to hike or even break a sweat. It's like having a gondola-style lift, but it's literally an escalator, which makes some sense. A gondola would just shoot straight to the top, but escalators can allow for multiple places to stop along the way, make it kind of nice, catch your breath. The local reaction has been mixed. Some say it's great that these experiences are more accessible, but others say it takes all the fun out of going up mountains, Although we assume that it's still possible, just like how there's nothing stopping you from taking the stairs, really. But naturally, these escalators are very expensive for mountain resorts to install, and they're also not for the faint of heart. If escalator at Macy's is intimidating, you should probably pass on this. Also, this is a relatively new thing right now. It's unclear what happens when one of these outdoor escalators breaks down, especially if they stop working, midday. ChatGPT is still wrong a lot, so you can't really trust it yet, but a lot of us do anyway. A new poll found a third of Americans already trust ChatGPT more than experts in at least one field of area of expertise. The things we trust it with most are career advice and product recommendations. 60% tend to believe what it says about that kind of stuff. We don't trust it with everything yet, though. Just 35% would trust medical advice from ChatGPT, and 28% said the same about legal advice. Half of users say they lean on it as a learning tool, 33% use it for financial stuff, 30% ask for product recommendations, 20% use it for career advice, and 15% turn to it for relationship advice. But I still trust our own Googling skills a little more than AI, though. 16% trust ChatGPT more than Google, and 41% said they trust it less. The other 43% say it's just a complete lie. What do you think? Do you trust ChatGPT? Sound off in the comments. I'm not sure backyard barbecues are supposed to be fancy, but here's how to elevate yours. Hot dog towers might be a big trend this summer. Yeah, Fox News just did a big story on how restaurants are offering them instead of seafood towers because seafood's expensive, and times are tough. See, what you do is you take a multi-tiered serving platter and you put different types of hot dogs around it. All three levels can be hot dogs, or you can use one level for fries and maybe the top tier for condiments. But don't just load them on there. You gotta make it nice. You gotta make it presentable. It's all about presentation. A place in South Carolina called Sir Wiener's, which, by the way, I need a t-shirt from that place. A place called Sir Wiener's is taking responsibility for the trend. They partnered with an upscale place called Lamar's last fall and added a hot dog tower to their menu. The owner of Sir Wiener's says that people love it because it's over the top and it's the perfect mix of ridiculous and delicious. John Krasinski is People Magazine's sexiest man alive, but when it's time to pass the torch, could a successor be Jack Black? I'd like to think so. A People staffer named Rachel McRady has made it her mission to make that happen. She says, quote, "The man is a triple threat who can sing, dance, and act his face off. He's got the moves of a jungle cat, absolutely genius comedic timing, and that signature devilish grin." She even thinks he's a superior love interest to Jude Law in the romantic flick The Holiday. Remember that one? She also notes that he's a devoted family man, he's awesome to his fans, and he does a lot of charity work, so that helps too. Last year's Sexiest Man Alive was announced in mid-November, so there's time for this campaign to take off, and I sincerely hope it does. As one hairy, heavy-set man to another, you deserve it, Jack. Being a cop is one of the occupations where you have to ask questions that you already know the answers to, or you know the answer that you're gonna get, right? Police in Kentucky recently responded to calls about a naked man walking on a highway. And when they found the guy, a cop asked him, "Hey man, what are you up to?" And he just said, "I'm just going to get some pants." He appeared to be under the influence of something and became disorderly, repeatedly kicking the door of the patrol car. He was ID'd as James K. King. He's charged with indecent exposure, public intoxication, and disorderly conduct. He also had 6 outstanding warrants for stuff like public intoxication, criminal trespassing, and possession of drug paraphernalia. But when asked why you're walking naked down the road, it's a good answer. "I'm just gonna go get some pants. Somebody stole my pants. I would like to report a crime." Well, big thanks to Uber for posting this list again because it's never a dull time. Uber released its annual Lost and Found Index that looks at all the stuff we left behind in ride shares last year. The most common thing we forgot are the usual suspects, phone, wallet, keys, luggage, headphones. But their most unique list is where the real action's at. They shared a list of 50 oddball things we forgot in Ubers last year, and here's some of the highlights. A mannequin head with human hair. Or how about a Viking drinking horn? I'm sure someone's missing that. A chainsaw coming at number 3, followed by a turtle. Someone left their turtle? A urinal is number 5 on the list. I'm sure there's a story behind that one. Shrek ears comes in at number 6. A witch's broom is number 7. Uber says the Saturday before Halloween's their most forgetful day of the year. 2 mattresses. Someone left 2 mattresses in their Uber. Someone also left 15 hookahs. An aquarium got left behind. A DNA testing kit. A unicycle. A huge bouquet of 100 roses. I'm sure you're sad you forgot that one. A traffic cone, a plunger, and someone got in touch looking for a photo they took at Benihana. Someone left a cactus behind, also some hard-boiled eggs, a sewing machine, some Cornish hens, a placard that reads, "It's a Philly thing," 10 live lobsters, some Hannah Montana merch, divorce papers getting left behind in an Uber, and someone left their Ozempic there too. They did a separate list of the 20 weirdest food items we left behind. A 5-gallon bucket of beans, 175 sliders, a bucket of feta, a gallon of Sunny D, and someone left behind 108 eggs. That person is now bankrupt. And if that didn't make your week feel slightly less weird, I don't know what will. Fireside News drops every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, because what better way to slide into the weekend than with a naked dollar store guide and rogue escalators? Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss next week's madness. Trust me, reality's not getting any less bizarre.